hear me back there? Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm truly, truly happy. I'm honored. Um, I'm thankful to be here. This is my second time in Kenya. The first time I came here was 13 years ago. Came with one of my really, really good friends who is also from here. And he's from Lamu, and we went to Lamu. Truly, it changed my life. Lamu is a very special place for me. So if you're not from, well, even if you're from here and you're looking for a really cool place to visit, I highly recommend you visit Lamu. And what I can promise you is that in Lamu, you will not miss Nairobi's traffic. I guarantee you that. So I really want to thank Honorable Kabogo for his talk. This is why I decided to come to these kind of conferences. It's actually really nice to learn what the government is doing, some of the new things, some of the interesting technology stuff that is going on the continent. So it's good to hear. So thank you for that. So when I was asked to give this talk, typically when I give this kind of presentation, and I'm sure you guys are used to this, but we share a lot of statistics and metrics and numbers, and I'm sure you're going to get a whole lot of that in the next 2 days. So, but for my presentation, I try to do something different. So instead of bombarding you with a bunch of numbers, I actually decided to tell you a story, and I hope you find the story interesting. By show of hand, how many people have ever had a gun pointed at them? Really? Okay. All right. So two or three people. All right. So you're going to like this one. So I want to take you back to 1999 in Florida. By the way, I'm from Texas. 1999. Well, I'm not from Texas. I live in Texas, but I'm originally from Benin Republic, but I live in Texas. So I want to take you back to 1999 in Florida. I had just moved to the US, and one morning I was on my way to school. I was driving on the highway, and I missed my exit. And if you know highways in the US, they're really long, really big, and especially in Texas, where everything is big, of course. So I missed my exit, and then I looked down my navigation, and I saw that the next exit was about 10 kilometers away. And I knew if I had waited until I get to the next exit, there's no way I was going to make it on time for my class. So, of course, in my infinite wisdom, I decided to quickly make a U-turn and get back on the other side. And so as I was stepping onto the medium lane to make my U-turn, and guess who showed up? The Florida State Trooper was right there waiting for me. And I don't know where he came from. I don't know if he was waiting for me, if he saw me making the U-turn, but he was right there. And so he waited for me patiently to kind of merge onto the highway, and then he followed me and, of course, turned his light on and his siren and pulled me over. So then I stopped, and I put my car in park, and then, like a good, well-behaved African person, as soon as I stopped, I opened my door, got out of the car, and proceeded to start walking toward him. Don't do that. That's the wrong thing to do. So, and truly, I thought I was in one of those movies that you see, but you never think is actually going to happen to you. And before I knew it, I had a gun, like a shotgun, not a pistol, shotgun pointed right at me. And his finger was on the trigger. He was barricaded behind the driver's side door and started shouting at me, started yelling at me. So, what the hell are you doing? Stop right there and turn around and go back to your car. It's like, I didn't know what I did wrong. And by the way, let me remind you, at that point, I had just moved to the US. never got pulled over by the police before in my life, didn't know how the system works, barely spoke any English, by the way. So then he told me to go get back in my car, which I did. Then he came and met me, and the whole time he was coming to my car, I could see from my side mirror the gun was pointed at me with his finger on the trigger. So when he got to me, started asking me a bunch of questions. Uh, where was I going? Why was I trying to make a U-turn? Like, I was trying to make a U-turn because I missed my exit and I was going to be late for class. So he said, well, listen, son, in America, that's illegal. You don't do that. I said, I'm sorry. So then, to make a story short, he gave me a warning and he let me go. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the hell does that have to do with cloud security, right? Believe it or not, that actually has a lot to do with cloud security. You see, cloud security, moving to the cloud is like moving to a foreign country where they speak a different language, we use different technologies, the rules are different. There's a lot of illegal activities in the cloud, on the internet, a lot of good people, but also a lot of bad people. So the point is, just like moving to the US, learning to know the rules, different system, if you're going to move to the cloud, you have to spend the time to learn the rules. You have to follow the rules. You have to have the right protection in place, right? And unlike me, where I did an illegal activity and I got away with a warning, if you make a bad move in the cloud, you may not get away with a warning. Instead, you may get away with being out of business. This happens all the time, right? But the good news is that you do want to be in the cloud. There's good thing in the cloud, right? You just need to know what you're doing. You just need to learn the rule. The other good news is that cloud security in Africa is different from cloud security in the US, in Europe. We have different challenges, but we also have different opportunities. So I do have a quick presentation set up for you, and I hope you find it interesting. So I think this is true for everywhere. Cloud security, cloud computing in general is accelerating Africa's digital transformation, right? And we have a lot of startups in Africa. And obviously, I think somebody mentioned that earlier, with cloud adoption also come a lot of security concern. And those are the security concerns that we have to be aware of and we have to deal with. And we're going to talk about some of those security concerns. All right. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay. All right. So obviously, we have all the major cloud service providers in Africa as well, or the Microsoft Azure, or the AWS, the Google Clouds. Based on my research, they're mostly in South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, and obviously also some of the Northern Africa countries, Morocco, Algeria, and so on. So some of the challenges, we have quite a few. The big one is the limited number of data centers. I think everybody's probably aware of this, right? The second challenge, the big challenge, is the internet connectivity gaps, where we still have some of the region. You can have cloud without internet connection, right? So if you're going to put your stuff in the cloud, people need connection to be able to get to it. And having reliable internet connection, reliable power, and reliable broadband coverage is obviously important. Now, this last one, the last challenge is actually, to me, it should be the number one, right? The data sovereignty concern, to me, that's the biggest challenge we have right now. And the reason why I truly believe this is the biggest challenge is this. A lot of people don't think about this, but we're in an age where the big countries, the big economies, they will use anything to get their way. And I can actually think of a day where they can use data if we don't do something they want us to do. So I'll take the example of, let's just say, the UK, right? And we all know data is the new currency. Now, the vast majority of businesses and government in Africa do not have the data physically located in Africa, right? That's the big problem. If you're a government, if you're a big business, and all your data is in Europe, in another country, you don't have any control over that data. What happens if your government does something that pisses off the country that hosts your data, right? You can imagine where they can use that, they can hold that data hostage. It is possible. So that's something that we need to start thinking about. What are the opportunities? The opportunities are exactly related to the challenges that we just talked about, right? So expansion of edge computing, and I know Honorable Kabogo just talked about that earlier, right? So expansion of edge computing is a big deal. Localized cloud services and the development of new data centers. Again, as I mentioned earlier, most of the data centers are concentrated in South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, and so on. So that needs to be expanded. Obviously, I was just talking to a gentleman earlier from Cameroon. So we have people from all over the place. So this just doesn't just apply to Kenya, is my point. And of course, public-private partnerships, that is also important. That is what makes this thing work. The government cannot do it alone. The private sector cannot do it alone. Some of the emerging threats in cloud security. I'm not sure this is emerging. Ransomware has been a top 5, top 10 threat forever. That's nothing new. The only difference is that now it's getting more sophisticated. It's getting easier. Ransomware as a service. You don't need to have any kind of technical ability to now leverage ransomware attacks. You can just pay somebody to do it for you, right? Phishing, social engineering, insider threat. We're just talking. There was the first presentation we had this morning was from CrowdStrike, where they talk a lot about insider threat, supply chain vulnerabilities. I know tomorrow we have a panel discussion around supply chain vulnerabilities. So those are some of the challenges that we're facing. I'm going to skip this one. I was going to talk about a case study, cloud security breach in South Africa, but there's so many cloud security breaches. You can, pick your favorite. You can do a very quick search on Google and find a whole bunch of them. And we also talked about this one this morning during the CrowdStrike presentation, AI, AI, AI. AI is the evil, and AI is also the genius. All right, just like we use it for good, the bad guys also use it for bad. And it always seems like we're always one step behind the bad guys. How do we get ahead? I don't know. That's an open question. So I remember when Harry was doing his presentation, he talked about one of the challenges from the survey was regulatory compliance. I think everybody has that challenge. It's not just in Kenya, it's not just in Africa. And we do have, and I'm going to tell you another story that it made me smile. I was so happy. So when I landed 2 days ago at the airport in Kenya, in Nairobi, the first sign that I saw at the airport was about the data protection regulation in Kenya. It's the little stuff, guys. I mean, that's just a little thing that just make me happy. But I just kind of want you to think about this. You go to a country for the first or the second time, and at the airport, you're coming from a CISO conference, and the first thing you see at the airport is something about data protection. That really shows that the country is taking data protection seriously. That's my point. And it's just happy to see stuff like that. Of course, we have South Africa, law in Nigeria, laws in Morocco, Egypt, and Ghana. We also have some regulation or some work being done with data protection regulation at the African Union level, right? So they're trying to pass some regulation for the entire continent. So we see how that goes. All right, so I wanted to make sure that I have a few minutes to talk about best practices. This is not meant to be an exhaustive list of all of the best practices, but these are some of the most important. I know there's a presentation coming up about zero trust. And so that presentation is probably going to get deeper into the technology. But if you're going to be in the cloud in a very serious manner, and you don't really have zero trust, that's definitely something you want to consider. It's a journey. That's all I can tell you, is that this is not something, it's not an easy thing to do, but that's a must. Secondly, data protection and encryption, best practice. Third one is the security automation and AI. And then, of course, we never want to forget security awareness training. This is one of my personal passions, right? Security awareness training, I feel like a lot of companies, a lot of organizations don't pay enough attention to security awareness training, right? In my experience, a lot of my peers, they pay a lot of attention to the latest technology, the latest tool, the latest solution, but not enough attention to the people that actually run those tools. So, future of cloud security skill. I know Harry also talked about a severe shortage of security professional. That is not only in Kenya. As I said, I live in Texas. In the US, that's a big problem. Now, we can debate about whether we actually truly have a shortage of skilled workers, but that's for another presentation. So security architect, security engineers, security automation. We talk about some of the certification, some of the most popular certification there. Now, to conclude and to call you guys to action, I wanted to mention 4 things. Again, as I mentioned, data center, data center, data center, please. And I want to beg Honorable Kabogo to spend money on building more data centers, across the region, because again, I truly believe that's one of the biggest problems we have in Africa is we don't own our data. The data reside with typically is the country that colonizes us. I mean, it's a fact, right? Good or bad. So invest in cybersecurity training. We want to strengthen cloud security policies. And then, again, as I mentioned, you cannot do it alone. We want to foster regional collaboration and partnership. Thank you again. I hope you find the information useful, and I'm looking forward to further discussion.